Well, hello and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back here to Slow Motion Broadcasting, and welcome back to the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors. This is round number 5 of this season, coming to today from Montreal. My name is Ron Maunz. Alongside me in the commentary booth is Charles Boshell. Guido Marzucchi is our producer for today's broadcast. Well, Charles, after the tight and twistiness and the bumps, most certainly, of Phoenix last time out, we head off to another track that has been used by NASCAR before, but is primarily known for F1. Circuit Gilles Villeneuve up there in Montreal. It is a staple of Grand Prix racing. NASCAR's run here. Sports car races have been held here along with IndyCar events in the past. This track is a fantastic part of the world of Canadian motorsports. I'm really looking forward to seeing what kind of unique style of racing we're going to get out of this track in its second appearance in as many seasons.
Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting race. Obviously, this is a very I say technical track. It's not really technical as much as it is tight. It's not a lot of room. This obviously you can tell the Formula cars run really well here because they're small cars in comparison to a NASCAR. So Spec Racer's a bit bigger, and it's going to make for some very, very tricky passing areas, especially in the braking zones. Some very, very tight cornering, and of course, the chicanes here are deadly if you get them wrong.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about the curbs, the chicanes, of course, the wall of champions on the outside of turn number 14. That is going to be real tough for these racers all throughout the day. But as we see these drivers tackling the racetrack here in qualifying, do want to take a quick look at the championship point standings heading off into the 5th round of this championship. Now, we've only been able to broadcast the past 2 weeks, but we'll be able to bring you the rest of the action for the rest of the season here in Season 1. Our reigning champion here in the SRF Weekend Warriors, Jason Green, longtime stalwart of the Spec Racer Fords in the Weekend Warriors period, is slotted in 3rd. Felix Mo's reigning champion in the Formula Vs and a past champion in the SRFs, is slotted in 4th. Alexander Gorson, Dirk Braun, the sponsor of the season. More on that in a couple of moments' time. Trust me, folks, after last week, you will want to hear this. Joachim Osbeck is slotted in P7, Nathaniel Schramm in 8th, with Jason Dunnington and Barrett Brummett rounding out your top 10 in Spec 1. We'll take a look now at Spec 2, where Scott Russell is actually atop of the poll there. It's a 273 points. If he had 700 points in 4 races, I'd have to wonder what kind of nitrous he had in his race car. 273 is his tally at the moment, not too far in front of Richard Harwood in P2, and Phil Berry isn't too terribly far back in 3rd, although I think Berry is more worried about Matt Thompson, just 9 points behind in 4th, than he is about Harwood a little bit farther up the road. Steven Saunders is slotted in 5th, with Paul Jackson, Hugh Simpkins, Daniel Wood, Jeff Jacobson, and Jeffrey Adkins rounding out your top 10 in Spec 2. And now we'll take a look at the Masters category, where Jörg Monty is at the top right now. 296 is the tally for Jörg. Part of the biggest championship gap that we have in the entirety of the SRF Weekend Warriors. Brad Cathcart is slotted in 2nd, with Chris Thorpe, Rich Meesters, and Andrew Love rounding out your top 5. You'll see the rest of the drivers lined up there. But fascinating to note that the gaps are starting to grow in some categories, but all in all, it has been very close thus far this season, expecting the competitiveness to continue. And Charles, let's do an onboard lap with Dirk Braun here at Montreal.
Yeah, let's take a ride down here with Dirk Braun as we head down to the start-finish straight. We're going to make this hard left-hander into turn 1 that's going to loop back around on itself through turn 2. See the pit exit line there. That might come into play today as they work their way back around, and then we get the first straightaway that heads down into our first chicane, down here into 3 and 4 as we make this hard right-hander, then a quick back to the left and get that. You got to obviously see the wall there. Not a lot of room for error. We get a couple of kinks here. Probably one of these is turn 5. We'll say that. Then we get turn 6, winding left, followed by a quick right, back around through 7. And then we get another one of these little straightaways here as we head down into that 2 and 3 wide because it will not work. And now we got the long straightaway on the back stretch that heads down into our second to last chicane. It's getting down here. I think this is going to be 11 and 12 or yeah, maybe 11 and 12. No, this is 13 and 14. Get our numbers right here in a minute. This is our final chicane here, and we get this quick run and then out, and we see, oh, there's Scott Russell around, and then we get the last little run down to the start-finish straight. You got a lot of distance here, so you can, if you get a good run out of that final chicane, maybe pick up a position there just before the finish line, and there's your lap of Montreal, this amazing street circuit here, and we'll see, since we're talking about Dirt Brawl, do we have a sponsor read there, Ron?
Yeah, that we do. I'll let you all know at this point of the show before we get into happy hour here in qualifying that this race is sponsored by Durkee's Dickles. They know that every lap is hot and that consistency matters. No limp competition here, just serious crunch, undeniable girth, and performance that fills each jar. Whether you want mild, hot, or why the hell did I think I could handle that, they bring the heat and performance you can feel. Durkee's Dickles puts the tickle in your pickle. And it's at times like these where I really wish I paid attention a bit more in school. Final 2 minutes we're approaching here in qualifying, so time running after these racers has had a good time. Here's how it looks in this session. Ian Joyner, top of the field at the moment, a half a second in front of Nathaniel Schramm, nearly close to 0.6 of a second. Man, that's quick. Following Mr. Joshua Wilkie, he is not up at the top of the Spec 2 racers. He's slotted in lucky spot P13 in that wonderful TW3 scheme. If you want a nice paint scheme out there on the racetrack, and in touch with TW3, our paint partner here at Slow Motion Broadcasting. Antonio Reese is your top qualifier at the moment in the Masters category. P5 at the moment for him, and always changing with the other photo there. You'll love to see it. And Kevin Adrian, your top qualifier at the moment in Spec 2, slotted not too far behind in P8. Interesting to note that the top 10 is just a tick over a second between all of them. Your Monty, 1.073 seconds off of Ian Joyner's pole time.
Yeah, absolutely. Ian set himself a really good lap. Oh, now Nate Schramm up there at a P2, so he's cut that gap in half, so only about 0.3 back. So that's going to keep a little bit closer gap there between first and second. And it was just kind of looking down through the order here, and we've got a couple of drivers who are missing, and notably Kate Halliburton not here today. My guess is, obviously, with iRacing, this was the Daytona 24 weekend. My guess is he was out on the track for several hours during the course of the last 24 and decides that he's just probably going to take today off, and I don't blame him. It's a very, very difficult thing there to get back to a league race after one of those big 24-hour events. It takes a lot out of you. Even if you're not driving, you're up longer than normal. And Kane is not here, as I was trying to get that out there. Sorry about that. And as we're watching down through the order there, see a couple of meatballs, Brad Cathcart, Phil Berry. That you'll probably see a few of those meatball flags during the course of the race today. But we do have a fast repair for our drivers. Hopefully that they'll be able to make it a one-stop race to be able to take any damage repairs and fuel and get this race under in one stop. And that'll make things a little bit more eventful there, as keep this pack a little bit tighter during the race today.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see what style of racing that we get here. And certainly the chaos that this track can bring will come out in more ways than one. Got that pit entry. This track has so many chicanes that even the pit lane has a chicane on entry. And it reminds me of the pit lane actually at, it was Cleveland, the old IndyCar race at Cleveland. And there's some incidents that went on down there in pit entry. And I feel like this track is no exception. I think I remember actually commentating a race one time. I can't remember whether it was with the Weekend Warriors or even here on SMB, but I remember doing a show one time where two drivers clobbered into each other on pit entry and fired themselves into the opposite walls. So, it's not ideal to have a quick pit lane entry, but if you do want to find the quickest way to turn a car into Swiss cheese, that is a pretty good way to do it indeed. Following Marcel Gorson, who just jumped up to P22 right in the dying breaths of this qualifying session. The checkered flag out has been for the past minute and 22 seconds. Looks like Ian Joyner is going to be leading this field to green once again. My question is, who's going to be in it to win it? Because the gaps are rather substantial in qualifying, especially up in the top three. You usually see some slightly closer times, although I think our perspective on that is a bit messed up after the very close qualifying in Phoenix last time out.
Yeah, absolutely. It's I think that the just the nature of the race here is probably going to keep the cars a little bit closer together, especially up in the front, because obviously there's some sizable drafting opportunities here because this is a very straight line track, even though there's a couple of pretty dangerous corners and the chicanes there. But there's a lot of areas where you can just get the whiff of the draft off the car in front and keep up with them, or allow you to help keep up with them. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting race. And we'll see what happens once we get through the start. Obviously, the first lap is going to be the key to this, and it's going to pretty much decide how this race is going to go, if we're going to have big gaps amongst all the cars or if we're going to have really tight pack racing today.
Yeah, I feel like we're going to be expecting pretty much every single end of the spectrum, from chaos and smooth racing to draft craziness, and probably some packs getting broken up. We saw a bit of that in the Formula V race yesterday here on SMB. Some packs were forming, others were breaking away. This track is one that is very driver skill dependent, but you also do have the long flat out blast, notably that start-finish straightaway, and the backstretch before that final chicane, so you can keep tight, so we'll have to see. But let's take a look at the starting grid here for this fifth round of the championship. Ian Joyner going to start from the pole. Nathaniel Schramm set to join him on the front row. Felix Samoz will start in third next to Alexander Gorson in fourth. Joshua Wilkie was able to jump up to the Spec 2 pole right towards the end of that session. He was expressing some interest and confidence in this race, so hopefully I didn't just jinx him. Antonio Reese, your Masters pole sitter, will start alongside in P6. Christoph Langendonk will start in P7. Alongside him will be the sponsor of this broadcast, Dirk Braun. Kevin Adrian will start in ninth, with Barrett Brummett completing your first 10 cars.
Yep, Jason Green will start in P11. York Monty outside row 6 in 12th. As we scroll up, we've got Scott Russell in 13th, Chris Murakami 14th. 15th will be Dan Wood. Ben Rycroft starts in 16th. Adam Bradshaw starts in 17th. 18th is Rich Meesters. Tom Gradwell will start in P19. Jason Dunnington in 20th. 21st will be Matt Thompson. Marcel Gorson will start in P22. Brad Cathcart starts in 23rd. Phil Berry starting in 24th. And a few more to go here. Steve Saunders starting in 25th. Andrew Love starts in 26th. Chris Thorpe starting in 27th. Ismail Alaza starting in 28th. Adam Bradshaw starts in 29th. Jeff Jacobson 30th. Mario Crimser 31st. Paul Jackson 32nd. Dan Witzak 33rd. Jason Grider 34th. And Charlie Vaccaro rounds out your 35-car grid.
Yeah, massive field of racers, and we're able to, oh golly, my old speech impairment just popped up there. We're seeing the field begin this formation lap here. If I slip into that old diction, nobody would understand me, which is saying something because people don't usually understand me enough as is. I will say this track, I talked about it a bit during the Formula V show. It has undergone a decent amount of alterations. Usually think that a racetrack gets more complicated as time goes along. This track has actually been simplified as time has come along. I think originally there were even more chicanes on it than there are now, which is truly terrifying because this track already has, well, we have the first chicane 1 and 2, the second chicane 3 and 4, the third chicane 6 and 7, and then 8 and 9, and then 13 and 14, and then the pit entry chicane, and then the chicanery. We've got a lot of chicanes, I think it's fair to say, but expecting some chicanery here today for sure at Montreal for the 5th round this season, waiting for that green flag to come out, which it has now, and the drivers are on their way. Fantastic start from Ian Joyner, but he's got some company challenges right behind. That's Nathaniel Schramm looking for the move on the outside and nearly feeling some pressure from Felix Samoz on the inside. Contact made further behind, though. That's not going to work. Ben Rycroft getting pitched off into a spin. Up at the front, it's tame. Farther behind, it's pandemonium.
Yeah, Ben Rycroft spinning. They're going through one. Marcel Gorson, I believe, is involved in that as well. Tom Gradwell has a slowdown. We'll say that Ismail Alaza decided to start from the pit, so he's coming out now. wisely probably avoiding any kind of incidents if he's a bit of a new driver. And just a quick note, Adam Bradshaw, the 929 car, is running in 16th. Adam Bradshaw Jr., the number 19 car, which is kind of misnumbered, he is a Spec 2 driver, is in 23rd. So we've got a father-son combination out there, and that's going to make things even more interesting today.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the last time that we had a father-son duo racing in the Spec race Fords outside of the Tullows. It's been a little while, but nice to see that go on there, and excited to see what that duo can do throughout this race. Look at the train of cars. That's not going to work. Wilkie got caught up in that, and that was nothing that he could have done. Contact behind. I'm not sure who it was that missed the braking zone, but a stack 'em up wreckfest into the hairpin. Wilkie trying to whittle his way through the traffic, but three drivers wiping themselves out of contention already. I believe that was Antonio Reese and Christoph Langendorf. I will have to confirm that, but most certainly looks like those two were the ones involved.
Yeah, I definitely think Langendorf was one of those cars. The 49 car could not catch the other one, but I'll take your word that that's who it was. And yeah, Josh just getting at the wrong place at the wrong time as we see the 49 car come back toward the start-finish line to start lap 2. So already a little drama to start this race.
Well, we are expecting some drama, and drama we got. Lots of stuff to take a look at here as we start lap number 2. Ian Joyner still leads, but let's start off with the opening lap drama. This was the incident involving Chris Thorpe getting pitched into a spin. Ben Rycroft, pardon me, very similar looking race car, as part of the same team, the Type 116 team. And there was the drama, heading off through the hairpin, and really nothing, heading off through the chicane, my apologies. There's some more drama. I think that may have been Marcel Gorson that got pitched off into a spin, and nearly making contact there. Rycroft having to check up into the grass to avoid getting absolutely clobbered and cleaned out there. But let's take a look at more of the drama that went on here at the start of this race. Drama we got, that was Rycroft and his wild perspective, and that he got clobbered once more. And then here was Marcel Gorson. Yeah, that he probably could have used a bit more discretion in that rejoin, but everybody's always a little bit frazzled and frustrated after a spin, especially on lap 1.
Yeah, yes, it really is. That's the case. As we get another replay here, this is the Josh Wilkie view as we're coming down here, and you see the cars in front, and that was the 49 car, Langendorf. Yeah, and that was Antonio Reese was this other car there. Langendorf just basically locked up going into the braking zone, could not get the car stopped in time. And until he encountered the rear of Antonio Reese's car, nowhere for Josh really to go. He just got a piece of that, so he'll have to work through that. As we see now, Alasa working his way around through 1 and 2, and that just a little bit of spin, too much throttle coming out of the corner, loses the rear of the car, and I think we see why he decided to pit start for this race. Just a little unsure of himself out there, and that was very, very smart. And that sometimes that's just a nice, a nice competitive move there by a car that showing good sportsmanship, and not wanting to be involved, wants to race or wants to be out on the track and get some good learning in, but doesn't want to interfere with championship battles as they go on.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate party piece of this racetrack that when there is some drama that goes on out there, there isn't too much that you can do to avoid ending up in somebody else's mess. And with a field as big as this, one small little mistake, even if you're running up at the front, and you're going to find yourself sent back into mid-pack pandemonium, such as this, for instance, 2x2 under the bridge into 8 and 9, nearly making contact. Whoa. Rich Meester's trying to get moved on Jason Dunnington as Barrett Brummett and Daniel Wood squabble up right behind. They are 3 wide right in front. I'm not sure I have a good feeling about this. A single foul out. Daniel Wood the first to back at it, but Brummett and Dunnington still side by side. Who's going to win out in this fight? Lockup made. That's Dunnington breaking out the elbows. He's got to get past. He's got to get overtaken by both. Daniel Wood got past both of them. Brummett and nearly Adam Bradshaw. That was very, very hair-raising as they headed their way through the hairpin.
Yeah, it really was. You could see where Dunnington just locked up going down on the inside into the hairpin, and not much you can do. Try and cadence brake to get out of it, but at that point you're already way behind on where you need to be, and it's just difficult. And contact was made. Luckily, everybody's still moving, and we're all headed the right direction. So fortunate there wasn't a bigger collision there.
Yeah, I think some of these racers should be counting their lucky stars that they either haven't been completely clobbered or they haven't been involved in any drama at all. Quick time from York Monty. That's a 150.5. Nice for him to show that pace on the third lap of this race. Hey, I'm a poet and I don't know it. But at the front, it's so Ian Joyner over Nathaniel Schramm, over Alexander Gorson, over Felix Samoas. And look at Kevin Adrian at the tail end of this field. Your current leader in Spec 2 after the falling anvil that came down on Mr. Wilkie. But Adrian holding on to a very good spot at the moment. P5 for a Spec 2 racer. Fascinating to note that in the Formula Vs, we didn't really see too much class intermingling. It was mainly just the Spec 1 racers on island of their own with the Spec 2 and Masters competitors right in tow. Here, however, we're seeing a whole bunch of intermingling as that's Andrew Love with a wall smack Av2.
Yeah, a little bit of understeer on throttle there for Andrew, and just maybe a little early, and just carried in a little kiss to the outside wall. Not anything major, probably messed his paint up a little bit, but still continuing on as we still get this battle here. 4 deep now. Antonio Reese has kind of joined this group, and now you're going 2 wide into the hairpin this time. Trying to make it 3, not so much, and everybody gets through that time. So no car contact, everybody nice and safely through the hairpin that time. And you can see just that battle is going to continue on until they get it sorted out or they all crash, one or the other. So we see that's Jorg Monty making the move around Dirk Braun. That is for P6. That is obviously the Masters leader, Jorg Monty, just ahead of Dirk Braun, and we get the rest of the groups coming through, and you can say, oh no, there we go, no, that was Jason Dunnington there, and that is
no,
that, and the 49 car and a couple other cars trying to get numbers on that, but just drama there coming out of the final chicane down to the start finish line, and you see that wall just jumped out, grabbed the car, and then after that the carnage started. Another replay here as they're working their way down. You see Dunnington in the gray car look to the inside. He's going to make that move down to the inside, as well as Antonio Reese is going to follow, and he gets through too much of the curb on the second part of the chicane into the wall and just gets clipped there. As the car goes around, another car, that's Bradshaw, I believe. Oh, you got to, yeah, Guido's in my ear saying you have to hold your brake, and that's exactly right. Just let the car roll back across the track, and there's nothing, there's not really anything these drivers can do. Their own full chat coming down that front straight, and just next thing you know, there's a car trolling across the track, and you can see there's Langendock there coming through.
Oh no!
Just chose wrong. You could just see it. The car twists the wrong direction, and there's more cars and more tragedy there for those cars coming through.
Yeah, there were a lot of separate things that resulted in that incident taking place. I'm really upset. I do have to provide a viewer discretion warning that we just saw Big Bird get executed on the start-finish straightaway at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal. That's a sentence I don't think has ever been said before. Ooh. That's Dirk Braun clobbering the wall. That's heading off through the wall of champions. He nearly gets hit by Rich Meesters. Be careful on the rejoin here, Dirk. Yeah, I was going to say that the hairpin was the main source of drivers just getting absolutely destroyed. Not true anymore. It's now been the chicane. The chicane has a kill streak.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's climbing as we see Braun working his way around Jorg Monty, and just, oh wow. So he just clipped the first curb there in the chicane and lost the rear of the car and just couldn't get it recovered in time to make that left-hand turn, and spun it the opposite direction and into the wall he goes.
Yeah, so the curb strike, the chicane strike, Circuit Gilles Villeneuve has strike. They have not been looking on to this racetrack fondly, these racers, and the racetrack is responding in kind, it seems like. Lots of meatball flags, dirt run out there on the racetrack, still have to come down pit lane to repair the damage on that car. Jeff Jacobson with the slowdown as in all that drama, the battling up at the front is still intense. We'll touch on that in a couple of moments' time. In the meantime, here was a moment with Jeff Jacobson. He was part of the slow motion racing stable that was part of this year's Daytona 24 and their effort in it. I believe I'm trying to think. It was Jake Schilling and Adam, Mr. Meow Meow himself, was involved in that operation as well. But no, it's nice to see a lot of racers out here on the racetrack deciding to run here in the Spec Racer Fords, even though they were just running in the Daytona 24 and taking quite a lot of time to run in that event. That's Bradshaw Jr. with a lockup into turn number 10. Thankfully, it doesn't result in any drama right behind, but that pack behind him is there to pounce in case any more lockups happen.
Yeah, as you see, he's doing his best. Obviously, rookie driver out here for the first time, and trying to hang on to that car and not try to keep it on the racing line, as well as not be a hindrance. And he's doing a pretty good job. Just obviously just a little bit of a lockup there, and try to catch it, and did so, but backed into several cars that were gaining ground on him, as Nate Schramm now up in the lead over Alexander Gorson, Ian Joyner down in third, Felix Samoa's fourth, Kevin Adrian top P5, but leading the Spec 2 category. So Kevin having a great run today, really doing well to hang on to this lead group. And then you get the big gap up back to Jorg Monty running in sixth. So this 5-car group has checked out a bit. And as long as they keep their battles clean, we won't have any other cars trying to gain ground and jump into the middle of this group.
Yes, as we continue to take a look at the replays, this is not as a result of any sort of incident. This was an overtake. It was Nathaniel Schramm getting the pass done on Ian Joyner to jump his way up into the top spot. Alexander Gorson as well was running quite strongly in this race too. He's slotted in P2 in the live action at this point in time, though he was in third, but was able to get moved on Ian Joyner in due course. We jump back to the live action, and this top 5 running pretty much all by their lonesome. You could just barely see the cars behind. It's Jorg Monty, who's pretty much just a speck a little bit farther in the back a shot. As we take a look at more drama, this is Steve Saunders in the 303, and coming out of the pits, very slow. I think he decided to either call it a day, or actually no, he was letting the top pack by. That's good sportsmanship there from Saunders.
Yeah, keep an eye on the relative, making sure that he's not going to jump into the front of this lead battle. So nice job, Steve. Had a meatball earlier in the race and spent a couple minutes in the pits. So he's a lap down as we see the cars now. We got this battle here. This is Ben Rycroft and Adam Bradshaw Jr. Having a nice little battle here for P17 as they're going on there. And you see the battle is going to take us all the way down here into the turn 1. And Bradshaw Jr. is going to take the position over Rycroft. And now you got Jeff Jacobson and Andrew Love behind, seeing what else is going to be going on here, and see if Andrew is going to make a move and try and jump Jacobson here, but not yet. So they work their way through the chicane. So good bit of driving here by this group. Some nice battling going on, but safely done. As they are about a second or so behind the next group up front, which includes Jason Dunnington and then Tom Gradwell just in front of him. So some more positions there on offer as we get to the just past the 14-minute mark here in the race, and we'll start talking about pit stops here and the pit entry, which we kind of already mentioned. But the pit entry here, it's not so much that it's for the guys that are behind. It's going to mess your braking point up, because I think you can go a little deeper if you're going into the pits than you can if you're going to make the chicane. So it could kind of throw you off if you've got a little bit of target fixation going on while you're in the middle of your battle.
Yeah, and target fixation can be lethal in these cars because you always got to keep the momentum rolling. I like to say that they're a blend of the other Weekend Warriors cars, the Formula Vs that you can catch here on slow motion broadcasting every single Saturday, and the Formula Ford cars that are run on Sundays as well in the other Weekend Warriors. They've got a bit more power than a Formula V, but they've still got the drafting principles of a Formula V. Got to keep the momentum rolling at all
Whoa.
times, as that was very sketchy. That's a problem with that final chicane. Not only is the chicane itself super sketchy and really iffy to try and get a move done, you've also got the dynamic of the racers right behind you, maybe eyeballing a pit stop, and a couple of crossed wires can take place, and then you're going to see how quickly a Spec Racer Ford car can ramp underneath another.
Yeah, and the answer is very quickly. We've seen it a lot, but that's kind of the catch there for that pit entry. It's that's what makes it dangerous. Obviously, we saw with Saunders earlier, where when you come out of the pits, you're basically coming out in the middle of turn 2 on the outside, so you have to be very careful, and you got to keep your eyes open. Keep an eye on your relative as well to make sure that you're not going to jump out in the middle of a battle or in front of a battle. As we on board here with Josh Wilkie, they're working their way down into the hairpin corner. This is a battle inside the top 10. We see the 303 car going to the outside. That is Saunders, just letting cars go through as he's being lapped. And so we've got a nice little 3-car battle here. 2 Spec 2s and a Spec 1 in between them of Jason Green. So a nice battle inside the top 10 that's not up here for position for the overall lead. Still Schramm, Gorson, Joyner, Samoas, and Adrian in the top 5.
Yeah, and this top 5 has just checked out from the rest of the pack. However, there is still a little bit of chicanery left in Sir. We're not just talking about the ones out there on the racetrack. We have got ourselves some pit stops to deal with soon. Antonio Reese is actually one of the first to come down pit lane, not because of any sort of incident. He is joined in the pits by Tom Gradwell. We are firmly in the pit window now with 23 minutes left on the clock, and fascinating to see some racers maybe throwing something different at the wall to see what can stick. If there's one thing that I wouldn't want to do in this race, it is trust the track and trust the nature of it, because it has proved to be very untrustworthy thus far.
Yeah, but I think it's a good strategy call to come into the pits a little early. You get some clean air. You can run some of your cleanest laps without having to do any kind of battling or watch out for other cars. You'll just have some nice clean air to work with. And you could pick up a half second or so, depending on how many laps you can run before the cars that you were fighting with decide to come in as well. So yeah, this might be a good time for an undercut to do the leapfrog over the cars you were racing with. So I think not a bad strategy call at all.
Yeah, I'm a fan of this call personally. We'll have to see how it works out for these racers who have already made that call to come down pit lane. We did see some more. Christoph Langendonk and Jason Grider primarily were the ones to come into the pits. Grider off the back of a win in the Formula V race in the Spec 2 category just about 24 hours ago here on SMB. Same track, much different cars. We'll have to see what he can do here today. Meanwhile, Jason Green and Scott Russell, this is a battle for 7th at the moment, top of this small little pack of cars, with the smooth machines of Jason Green, the damaged car of Wilkie, and he gets the move done on the equally damaged and battered machine of Scott Russell. Overtaking there for P8, Felix Samoa saying a quick time at a 50.0, but this is still a fight to keep our eyes on. Jason Green, the Pied Piper, with 2. It looks like the cars are basically mirroring each other. It's damage around the front left wheel for Mr. Wilkie, and then damage around the front right for Scott Russell.
Yeah, absolutely, and you could just see even with the car that's kind of got some misshapen body parts, that the draft still works pretty well, and Wilkie able to get the run down that straightaway as well as Green to get that move done around Scott Russell. So good passing there. We got Rycroft with a meatball flag as we going down in through. Okay, we go get another shot here as we're heading down. Is this into 6 and 7? Okay, nope. Okay, so I thought we had a replay there. Sorry about that. So we do have Rycroft, however, with a meatball flag. So he is going to have to come in and get service on his car as we're on board here with Felix Samoas. And still in P3, able to get around Joyner. I think Joyner's just kind of maybe falling back to maybe do a little fuel saving here to make his pit stop a bit shorter as as we get a couple of black flags. We've got Crimser and Jason Grider. Jason Grider's coming back into the pits, as well as is that another one? Was that
three?
Yes. Is that Dirk Braun? I believe it might be. No,
I believe it's Mario Crimser.
Crimser, Langendock, and Grider. Yeah, so black flag meaning they've hit the incident limit 13x, so they're going to come down and serve a drive-through penalty. And next 4x contact is going to be a DQ. It wouldn't surprise me if we see that today, just because of the nature of this track and how tight it is.
Yeah, so the black flags have been aplenty here in this race, and I'm not sure how to feel about that. There was a brief period of time where Kremser, Grider, and Langendock were all running in the same little pack, all of them with black flags. So I think we have now achieved Connect 3. We'll see if we can get Connect 4. I doubt very highly we would. I don't think these racers are going to be aiming for that one bit, and I can't necessarily blame them for not wanting to do it. Here was a moment that has taken Christoph Langendock out of this race. As soon as he got that black flag, he decided, nope, screw this, and he has decided to call it a day. Sideways snap, running wide out of turn number 1, goes off the grass through turn number 2, pulls off to the infield, and decides, you know what, I'm just going to spend the rest of the day crocheting.
Yeah, yeah, maybe so. Just obviously had enough. You'd already seen he'd been in the pits and got his car repaired. So he was back out with a clean car, but obviously a bit frustrated today with the racing, and decides that's probably enough, and I can go do something else for the rest of the day and get an extra 20 minutes back.
Yeah, 20 minutes. You can do a lot of things in 20 minutes. I believe I would be able to find about 1 or 2 words in a word search book and completely stump myself at doing the New York Times Wordle. Here's a move from Felix Samozon Nathaniel Schramm. He's going to go for the 2-for-1 deals. He comes into the pits. That right there is exactly why I don't like the pit entry here. I was about to say, he was going in way too hot, and then I realized, nope, he wasn't aiming for that chicane. He was aiming for the chicane after it, the 5 o'clock shadow chicane.
Yeah, that's a very aggressive pit entry. Obviously, he knew that the cars in front, he thought the cars in front were going to make the right turn to go down the chicane. He said, I got to get around these guys. So just uses the overspeed and gets the car stopped in time. So no black flag for pit speeding. So great job by Samoas there. That was a fantastic way to get into the pits. A bit dangerous, but he had them cleared before he got there. So I think that was a good thing.
Yeah, so I'm still trying to catch my breath after that moment with Felix Samoas diving down in pit lane, and as we've been going on throughout this show, now officially past the halfway mark, I've been catching up on the YouTube chat, and Michelle bringing up a moment before the Formula V race where she missed the start and said some words that we apparently cannot repeat on the air. I think probably goes on the same lines of fiddlesticks. Philly speak, Philly speak, Philly speak. Nick Flack, Blondy Quando Fleuren. Here's Andrew Love running in P22. Got Jeff Jacobson right in front. Dan Witzak slow on pit lane right now. They tend to do that sometimes. But the pit stops, we haven't really seen anybody be unified on the pit call. And frankly, with how chaotic the opening part of this race is, I can't necessarily say I'm surprised with that, as we nearly saw a 3-car pincer movement into 2.
Yeah, and I think maybe Andrew's getting a little frustrated with Jeff Jacobson there, trying to get. He hasn't been able to get by. So Antonio Reese is now making his way around Adam Bradshaw Jr. Gets that pass done, puts him up into P12. But yeah, just look like maybe Andrew is still looking for a way around Jeff and hasn't found the right combination yet. So hopefully it doesn't end up being something in the neighborhood of maybe a pit maneuver. There's a little spin there by Bradshaw Jr. Gets it recovered and back off, but that's going to cost him a few seconds. But was first time we've seen him really make a bad mistake. So we'll take that. It's all part of the learning here in iRacing. And Andrew Love now has a slowdown. So my guess is he was trying to find his way around and maybe took too much of the edge of the track there, as we see Bradshaw Jr. coming down for his pit stop.
Yeah, I think that's the first time I've seen a driver pit maneuver themselves. Not the ideal strategy. I don't think I need to tell you that. Looking at these drivers, though, kind of broken up in the pack with the other pit stops that have gone down thus far. Seeing the pit stops slowly but surely continue. This is Yurik Mani pretty much running by himself. He's about 7.5 seconds farther behind Kevin Adrian in P4 and about 4 seconds in front of Jason Green. So it's just... he's just there. He's just there.
Yeah.
There all by his lonesome.
Yeah, he's running a couple tenths off the lead pack time, but that's because he's running by himself. The lead pack obviously using the draft to keep themselves a little bit quicker than the cars behind, and then Jorg off by his lonesome there in P5 is just kind of looking up there saying, "I wish I could get up to you guys, but I just can't do it." As we've got about, I think, 10 cars left that have yet to pit. So basically 9 out of the top 10, that being Felix Samoas is the only one of the top 10 who has pitted, as well as Paul Jackson has yet to come into the pit. So we still got a few drivers out there to make their stop. Here comes Jorg now. He's going to come in and get his stop done, as well as Jason Green. Top 4 remain out. Is now Kevin Adrian with the fastest lap of the race, 149.625. So Kevin doing a good job there, trying to hang on to the back as Matt Adam Bradshaw Jr. now with a meatball flag. So obviously Pitt did not go, or something happened on his way out of the pits. That went very, very wrong. So Adam Bradshaw Jr. has now towed. Will be heading back to the pits.
And Ben Rycroft with a black flag as well. Andrew Love now with a black flag as well. Black flags continuing to be collected by these drivers like Pokemon cards, as we see the moment with Adam Bradshaw Jr. in the number 19 machine. Was it a moment into turn number 6 and 7? Survey says potentially nothing that he could have done. That was Ben Rycroft coming in for the kill.
Yeah, that was not good. Obviously, Rycroft just way far back to make that lunge, and let's kind of just ride along and see what kind of inputs we're getting from Rycroft here.
I wonder if he had a hardware failure.
Yeah, maybe so. That was not. We're gonna give him the benefit of the doubt, because obviously we don't know what's going on inside his rig. As we get oh no, Scott Russell with a black flag, and we see coming down into the pits now, and Joyner staying out. So top 3 in, Joyner stays out to do an extra lap, and now we've got Joyner, Murakami, and Matt Thompson. Your final 3 yet to pit.
Golly, what is in the air in Montreal? Is it just the smoke from the burnt bagels from downtown? What in the world is taking place here? We're seeing drivers pick up black flags like it's going out of style. I'm not sure what happened there with Ben Rycroft. I'm sure there had to have been some sort of hardware failure. That or there's some like prehistoric beef that we haven't touched on. Have to bring out the old Wendy's commercial here. Ian Joyner, though, in all of this is holding on to the race lead, and this is probably the calmness part of the race that we have had in quite some time, but it's not gonna last for long, as here's Felix Samoas exiting out in the middle of a very broken up rejoining pack. Nathaniel Schramm has been able to exit out in second. Felix Samoas in all this has cycled out in third, with Alexander Gorson in P4 with Kevin Adrian right in tow. So Samoas not really too close to Schramm. He's more worried about the competition right behind. I got to look at the pit stops here, because fascinating to note, as that's Steve Saunders right in front of Nathaniel Schramm, maybe holding him up a teeny tiny bit or providing a draft. Can work out both ways here in these Spec Racer Fords. Yeah, looking at the pit times here, the Schramm was by quite some margin the quickest down in pit lane. Didn't pick up a black flag either. Was the quickest down pit lane, was the quickest in his pit stall, and that's probably contributed to why he's leading by 2 seconds.
Yep, absolutely. So we're getting a little bit of information here. Josh Wilkie, it's Josh Wilkie's pit time was about a second and a half quicker than everybody else on the track. So now we're going to question whether or not Josh has enough fuel. So we'll keep an eye on Josh and see if we have an official Thompson Trophy candidate on the board. So we'll see what happens with Josh as we go. Our leader now in the pits for his stop, as we've got Nate Schramm coming out of the final chicane down the front straight. So we're going to get a nice little run here, and we'll find out who is going to end up leading this race when we get done coming out of this. It looks like it's going to be Schramm, as Joyner is now leaving the pits, and he's working his way down through turn 1 and into turn 2. And you see Joyner with a quicker run through there. And so Schramm's going to take the lead. Joyner's in second, Gorson in third, Felix Samoas in fourth, Kevin Adrian in fifth, and a little bit of a gap between Joyner and Gorson, 1.5 seconds. That's potentially going to come back down. So we might end up having that big 5-car pack here for the end of the race. It's going to make things quite spicy.
Yeah, I think if we see this front pack converge on one another, which I can't rule out one bit, it'll get really intense come time for the final 5 minutes of this race. Now in the final 10, looking at battling, there's a Masters fight with Tom Gradwell and Brad Cathcart, and all the chaos and drama throughout this race. Haven't even touched on the other class leaders outside Nathaniel Schramm leading in Spec 1. We've got Kevin Adrian leading still in Spec 2, with a very good shot to get a good result overall here. Jörg Mani holding on to the lead at the moment in the Masters category. P6, about 2.5 seconds in front of Antonio Reese, right behind in P7. We'll have to keep an eye to see whether or not Mr. Wilkie can make it to the end. Miracles can happen, but running out of fuel can happen too.
Yeah, and he does have at least an advantage. He's got Jason Green and Antonio Reese right in front of him, so he can use the draft to save a little bit of fuel. So he can be smart about this. Obviously, it's going to keep him from trying to get up to battle Kevin Adrian, but that's a 10, 12 second gap. So the chances of that happening are pretty slim anyway. However, you've got a 2.2 second gap between Reese and Monty for the Masters class lead, and Reese has got Jason Green giving him a push down the straightaway here. So that battle may tighten up here as we go. Provided everybody just keeps it going. As we see Antonio Reese with a slowdown, that is not going to help. That's going to drop him down probably behind Wilkie as he's letting that time burn off. And there we go. So it's going to drop him down into P9. But still in the back of this little group. So this group working together may still have a chance to catch up to Jorg before it's all said and done.
And if they could do that, Jurgen's got to be feeling a bit more pressure as he's on track for the win in the Masters category. Reese still yet to fully clear that slowdown that he has. It's a monkey on his back. We'll have to see if the Daredevil will be able to get taken care of. Yes, he does. I'm hoping it doesn't result in a black flag. We've only got one on the graphic right now, as Ben Rycroft, who's in the pits trying to repair his car after that drama a bit earlier on in this race. Haven't heard anything as to what the deal was there, whether or not it was a hardware failure or what. Here was a pass for the lead. That was Ian Joyner and Nathaniel Schramm swapping spots. That looked quite amicable out of 2.
Yeah, that was a nice clean pass as they work their way down. We got a replay here. This is this Langendonk or Dan Witzak, I'm sorry. The 113 car working down through the chicane. Oh, a little bit too much, losing the rear before he even gets to the first curb and gets it stopped. Nicely done there. Now he's going to back up. Hopefully he's got plenty of time here over the inside curb there. Lucky he didn't center the car and get beached there on that giant sausage curb, but gets it rolling again. Cost himself some time and a position, so he's dropped down to P22.
Seeing a Spec Racer Ford beached out on curb is like seeing a turtle stuck on its shell. Alexander Gorson trying to challenge for the lead with Ian Joyner. Sets a quick time on a 149.2, but Joyner looking to fight back. He holds onto the inside line off through turn number 2, and I think he's going to be holding on to that spot fully. He clears him into 3 and 4. Ian Joyner still your race leader. Alexander Gorson still there to pounce, and Nathaniel Schramm and Felix Samoa is right behind as well. So we were thinking it was going to be a 2-car fight. It's not a 2-car fight. It's now a 4-car fight. Don't think it'll turn into 5, as Kevin Adrian has nobody around him. He's effectively in no man's land, slotted in third, 3 seconds behind this train, and then a further 9 seconds in front of Jörg Mani running in P6. So this is a battle that we're going to be keeping our eyes on, and an immense amount of talent in this pack.
Yeah, you can see now that everybody's pitted. The wick has been turned up. They've dropped Adrian down 3 seconds, and you see the Felix Amoya saying, "All right, Nate, we can't have a mistake here," as he's pushing him down the straightaway, trying to get this group back together to keep it a 4-car group instead of 2 twos. As we're on board here with Alaza, working his way through out of one of the chicanes coming down toward the sharp little hair up, and just losing the rear again. And you can just see just a little bit loose, and back around he goes. So no harm, no foul, a little bit of a spin, and he's back around. But I think he's already had a slowdown, or a drive through. So he's got to be very careful. He is quickly approaching the limits here of incidents.
Yeah, the incident points, I think, may potentially play a factor in this battle, because these racers have seen their own fair share of drama, too. But I will say, talking about one more... Oh, no! Mr. Wilkie with a black flag. That is not going to help him out at all. Something was going to go wrong. It was either going to be the fuel, or it was either going to be an incident point violation. I think it may be the latter instead of the former. Jason Green also with the slowdown. Wilkie with some damage. I won't be too shocked if he just decides to call it a day after this. Such a shame. I think he had a good shot to grab a Spec 2 win here today, but sadly, it is not going to go his way. May have had a little bit of contact. Ooh, oh, yeah, there was. That's the reason why Jason Green picked up that slowdown. That's the reason why Josh picked up both the damage and the black flag. That was a disastrous series of events. But as we cut away from that and jump back to the live action, less than 4 minutes to go here in this race. Yeah, I think Josh has decided to call it a day. That is such a shame. But at the front, that's Nathaniel Schramm losing out on a boatload of time, and Felix Samoa is gaining a boatload of time off through the second to last chicane here on the lap. That was through 8 and 9, and he's going to be able to maybe jump his way to second. They nearly touch. They do touch contact. They kept it going in a straight line. Joyner trying to take the race lead, as Felix Samoa is with a save of a lifetime to keep that out of the fence.
Wow, what a great save by Samoas. That's how you get out of a brake lockup slide, is what Felix just did. Just gave himself plenty of room, moved the car out to the outside line, and allowed himself a chance to get that car back under control. But great bit of driving there by everybody involved. I mean, Felix was fantastic, but there were 3 other cars there that could have got jumped into the middle of that. And as we see now, Schramm looking to the inside of Gorson here, coming down into turn 1. And let's see if he makes that lunge. He does not, and kind of leaves himself open for the cross back between himself and Samoa's. Samoa's now side by side as they work their way out of 1 and 2. We will lap car, so they're going to fall back into a single file line.
The tension in this pack is high. The strength of this field, however, is high as well. You look at these top 4. You got Ian Joyner, Alexander Gorson, Nathaniel Schramm, Felix Samoas, all past Weekend Warriors winners, some of them being past champions too. Super duper quick. I actually ran the numbers as we take a look at the replay. Look at Felix trying to snap around that wheel. The fact he kept it both on the racetrack and within striking distance of that top pack, that's the reason why that man has a 6.1 KI rating. He is so quick in all types of machinery. Formula V, Formula Ford, Spec Racer Ford, Radical SR10, doesn't matter. He's always going to be quick. The white flag is going to be in the air this time by one more lap of racing action, but to touch on the point that I was going to raise before all carnage broke loose, these top 4 average out to be 5.2 KI rating, which is just absurd.
Yeah, it really is, and you can see why. Look at the driving ability here between these 4 drivers is pretty amazing, as they're climbing up on the back of, I think, that's Thorpe in front there, that they're going to put a lap on. So see Ian Joyner taking an inside line there, trying to stay on the defensive position, making Gorson take the long way around, and is not going to try and make a move there. Everybody getting through chicane safely, and we got 1 to go with a little bit of lap traffic in front.
Yeah, and the white flag in the air. One more lap of racing action here at Montreal. And it's Ian Joyner leading with nearly a 10th behind him. 3 wide racing behind him into turn number 1. What a way to bring in this final lap. That was Gorson, Schramm, and Samoa's duking it out. Gorson holds on to second. Schramm in third with Felix Samoa's rear gunner at the moment, trying to keep that car underneath him. I'm sure the tires are screeching in agony after some of the sideways moments that he has had thus far. These drivers are not alone. They have some lap traffic right up in front. I believe that's Chris Thorpe in the 912 car. And if that plays a factor in this, we got to figure out how things are going to go. Ian Joyner, I don't think is going to catch up to him at a good time, but he's going to get out of the way. Good sportsmanship there. Yeah, the two trying to pursue the draft, a small little trickle of a draft. They tried to make it work, though. Didn't really work out too well. I think it mainly just complicated them and brought Schramm and Samoa's back into the fight. The top 4 covered by less than a second. About a quarter of a second is the gap between all of them as Joyner starting to weave as they wiggle their way down into the turn 10 hairpin for the final time in this race. Gorson right in tow. He thinks about maybe going for a move. He was side by side with Joyner in this exact same section of racetrack a matter of 2 laps ago, but he's not going to go for it. He knows that that's not the spot to go for. Joyner knows that he's in for a world of hurt. He's bringing out the serpentine. He's bringing out the stake. Gorson has got to be right behind, but Schramm is the first one to pounce. They're going side by side. That's going to help out Joyner. And look at Schramm giving a bump draft. This could very easily end in total catastrophe. They made contact. That was a sideways moment for Gorson. 2 by 2 into the final chicane. They touch. That's going to be Gorson and Samoa's out of it. Schramm and Joyner break away. And Ian Joyner, your championship points leader, going to win it here in Montreal.
Wow, what a great finish to that race. Kind of sad that Gorson and Samoa's kind of fell out. Kevin Adrian actually comes up and gets the final step on the overall podium to get the Spec 2 win and P3 overall. But just a great battle between those 4 cars, and Joyner doing everything he could to break the draft, realized it wasn't going to happen, breaks it down to the inside to try and keep the inside line, gets a little push from Schramm behind, Gorson on the outside trying to make it work, and just could not get it done. And as we see the rest of the cars coming across, Jason Dunnington with a black flag on the last lap. That's a 40-second penalty that's going to be applied. Unfortunate for him. So it's going to drop him out of that top 15. As we got other cars now crossing, Brad Cathcart, Jeff Jacobson coming across the line now for 13th and 14th position. It's going to move Gorson, Marcel up to top 15 once this is done. And just the final few cars now working their way around the last lap to get across the start-finish line. But great racing up at the front of the field for 40 minutes. It's fantastic to watch. Antonio Rees, great job. The undercut, I think, actually did help him out. He ended up finishing 7th, a couple of seconds behind Jorg Monty. Jorg Monty getting the Masters. And we get the Thompson Trophy there from Mr. Adam Bradshaw, senior, we'll say senior, to keep it running out of fuel on the final lap. I think drops a spot to Paul Jackson there by just a little under 400 a second.
Oh, and look at this broken and battered machine of Dirk Braun. He's got to charge to the end, though. I mean, granted, he's right towards the back in 21st place. Unfortunate way for things to go for him. But the Durkee's Dickles machine brings it to a conclusion. Broken and battered down. We're going to take a look at a replay of that last lap. What a way to bring this race to a conclusion. I knew as we got to the end and saw the 3 wide racing into turn number 1 and 2 that something was going to go down on the last lap. And whether it be that fantastic finish for the top spots, whether it even be the photo finish there with Bradshaw, it was truly and unbelievably insane. This racetrack, it just lends itself to having these wild moments, and I think we had our fair share of them here today.
Yeah, absolutely. A bit of a crazy race, and as you can see, Dirk Braun's car, a bit of a sour note there for Dirk at the end of this race. But as you see them all finding a good spot to destroy their equipment. And how did that car not go over the barrier? How did that car not go over the barrier into the stands, killing several hundred digital people sitting there watching this as he just kind of bounced across and back onto the racing surface. So, yeah, so everybody's killing it. Oh! Race done. fitting end here because there was a lot of carnage during the race as well. So might as well have a little bit more carnage on the way out.
Oh, and you can hear the unmistakable roar and the sound of metal snapping. That's the sound of an iRacing motor blowing up, folks. And you can see the smoke billowing. It looks like the Vatican during a conclave. This is wild. Did anybody completely vault over the fence? I think we may have had at least one or two drivers ballpark it. I know that's Jörg Monty, who's Austin Powers himself into the runoff area in the 8 and 9 chicane. Up and again, word from Mr. Marzucchi in the production truck. We can confirm the Thompson Trophy for Mr. Wilkie. Bad time to say that because I believe he's in the YouTube chat. So if this is my last show on Slow Motion Broadcasting, it's been a treat, folks. I'll see you all on the other side.
Yeah. So yeah, just send your resumes to It's Guido's Fault at slowmotionbroadcasting.com.
Hashtag blame Guido.
Yeah.
Alrighty, let's take a look at the results before I get my happy ass fired. It's at the end of the day, it's Ian Joyner, your championship points leader, winning it here today. Nathaniel Schramm walks away with a P2, and in all that last lap chaos heading through the final chicane, didn't even mention the fact that Kevin Adrian, a Spec 2 racer, was able to walk away with the final podium spot. Bravo to Kevin Adrian, because we didn't really talk about him too much after the pit cycle, but there he is. P3 shows you that he can never say never here in these races. Alexander Gorison, who nearly flipped it heading through the chicane, finishes in 4th. Dilk Samos runs at your top 5. Jörg Monty finishes right behind in P6, winning it in the Masters category here today. Antonio Reese in P7, Jason Green in 8th, Rich Meesters in 9th. Chris Murakami runs at your top 10 with Matt Thompson, Tom Gradwell, Brad Cathcart, Jeff Jacobson, and Marcel Gorson rounding out your top 15. Andrew Love, Paul Jackson, and Adam Bradshaw completing the first page.
Yep, Scott Russell finishing in 19th, Jason Dunnington 20th, Dirk Braun in 21st, Chris Thorpe 22nd, Mario Crimser 23rd, Dan Wood 24th, Steve Saunders finishing in 25th, Jason Grider 26th, Ismail Olaza finishing in 27th, 28th was Mr. Josh Wilkie, 29th was Dan Whitsack, P30 was Adam Bradshaw Jr., Ben Rycroft in 31st, Christoph Langendock in 32nd, Barrett Brummett finishing in 33rd, Phil Berry finishing in 34th, and Charlie Vaccaro, I don't think even took the start, so he's going to be slated there in P35.
And so those are your results today here for round number 5 of the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors at Montreal. A wild race. I think half the field either picked up a black flag or a slowdown at some point, but some racers were very lucky to call themselves winners, others very lucky to call themselves survivors here in this race. So I'm thinking for our first chat, let's bring in our overall race winner, Ian Joyner. I'm sure he has a lot to say, especially about that battle towards the end. Ian Joyner now joining us here in the broadcast booth. Ian, welcome in. Congratulations on the win here at Montreal. I want to, first off, before I ask you about the whole race, I want to ask you about that last lap. How the hell did you manage to hold them behind you?
Well, got to thank Nathaniel really, because he gave me that push on the inside. Just managed to keep my nose in front. Never really sure whether to go left or right on the chicane, because they're all double corners. These you if you take the inside on the way in, then you're on the outside on the way out, vice versa. So worked out this time. Maybe a tiny bit of draft early in the lap which helped, but yeah, it's always going to be a bit of a nightmare, that chicane. Just watching it back, there's 4 of us going into it. Yeah, so yeah, just nice when it works out.
Yeah, it worked out very well for you here. I want to ask you about the entirety of this race, though. This seemed to be a very tough cookie to crack for the entirety of the field. Lots of racers running into black flags, lots of incidents going on out there. I want to ask how it was from your perspective behind the wheel.
Yeah, certainly tough race at the end. You always want pole, but then again you're kind of in the worst place for fuel saving the lead pack. So I'd still saved quite a lot, and I'm not sure how many laps it was actually, but Nathaniel came past anyway, and I did get a fair bit of fuel saving done after that. But I think we all came out really close. I thought me and Nathaniel might have just had a two-way fight, but I'm not sure if he's low on fuel or something, but let me back through and brought the guys back into it. It's a really, really difficult draw, a really punishing track anyway. The tiniest little mistakes, so easy to get slowed down, so easy to be in the wall. So it's tricky to time it all right, and then you're fuel saving early on, so your entry speeds are all different, and then all of a sudden you've got to get up to speed and get used to going in fast in the last couple of laps. So definitely a lot to do to keep it together, and it's so often comes down to that final chicane as well. So yeah, it was a lot going on, but yeah, it's lots of fun.
Certainly a hell of a lot of fun from our perspective here in the broadcast booth, calling that wild finish and the overall crazy race that we had here today. Do want to ask you about the next round of the championship. We're on a streak of some unknown quantities of racetracks, and I think that's going to continue. Aragon next time out on the Grand Prix configuration. I think I've called 3 races in my entire iRacing broadcasting career at Aragon. Never in the Spec Racer Ford. So what are your thoughts heading off to that unknown quantity in 1 week's time?
Yeah, happy to get the iRacing credits out this season. I did download it and did a couple of laps earlier on today. To be honest, it seemed quite fun. It looks kind of beautiful to drive it. A lot of corners, so a lot to optimize. Massive long straights as well, so it's going to be super drafty as ever. But yeah, I think it'll be fun. It's nice and open, so I don't think it'll be quite as treacherous as this. It won't be anywhere near as treacherous, to be honest, other than the draft. I'm pretty sure you're not going to want to be first going into the last lap anyway. Yeah,
no, I'll have to fully confirm what the Grand Prix layout is, because I know there is the version for motorcycles and the version for cars. I know there's a hairpin at the far end, but I'll have to double check that before we wrap up the show. But expecting some good racing there nonetheless, and expecting to see you there once more. Ian, thank you for joining us here in the booth, and as always, we'll let you give any thanks or shout outs before we let you go and celebrate.
Yes, thanks to League. Thanks as always.
Yeah, it's our treat as ever, and we were treated to a good one. And thanks as well for giving us a good battle right towards the end. That was an absolute pleasure to call. But Ian, thank you for joining us in the booth. Well done on the victory, and looking forward to seeing you at Aragon next time out.
Same. Look forward to it. See you then.
And that right there was Ian Joyner, our race winner here today. And looking through the other Grand Prix layout, does actually use a hairpin, a very fiddly hairpin at the back end of the circuit. We'll be talking about that a little bit later on in the show once we get close to wrapping up. But Charles, I'll ask you who you want to have a chat with.
Let's talk to our Masters class winner, Jorg Mani, finishing 6th overall today. And we'll have a chat with him. And Jorg, congratulations on the P6 overall and the Masters class victory, extending your championship lead out. You kind of got broken off from the lead group early, and you were a very lonely existence there for quite a bit of time during that race.
Oh, I was singing along, just doing my thing, enjoying life, thinking on the coffee that I get soon. So yeah. But otherwise, I had to really concentrate like crazy. But I achieved my target, sweating like a pig. I achieved my target, so that's good.
There you go. So yeah, it's we saw obviously a little bit of carnage here with this very tight course, and obviously the walls did their job keeping everybody in the middle of the track, unfortunately. So yeah, it's You kind of mentioned this last week that this is kind of the nature of this track is you have to be very precise, and obviously you had to keep your focus there for the full 40, even though you're by yourself, didn't have a lot of traffic around. It's still one of those that you can't take your eye off of it for a second.
No, not at all, especially not in the front and not in the back, and especially the Wall of Champions chicane. That's horrifying. I mean, that's always praying before you go in and praying after you exit. So you praise in one lap and every lap. So I think I haven't prayed for my entire life that much.
Well, there you go. Well, Jorg, next week we're going to be at Aragon on the Grand Prix circuit. Have you ever did a race there? If so, what are your thoughts?
I'm not sure, actually. I have to take a look at the track. I will recognize it when I see it. But might be the case, but let's see how it goes. I have a lot of work next week, so I might not do any laps again. So let's see.
Yep. There we go.
Oh,
Well, Jorg,
it's a surprise for me then next week again.
absolutely. That's how you have to look at it. Well, Jorg, congratulations again on the class victory. And we'll let you give any thanks before let you go for the evening.
Of course, to our sponsor, Dirk. Great job. Thanks a lot, guys. And yeah, I was trying to let him by, but she did a mistake behind me, and I thought, oh shit, now I don't have to let him by anymore. No, and you guys, you guys doing always an awesome job. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Jorg, and we'll see you next week.
Yep. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So yeah, I think I heard a word said in there, but we'll swiftly and abruptly move on. Let's have a chat with a man who I think deserves to be dragged in here to the broadcast booth. That makes it seem like I'm dragging into a jail cell. But Kevin Adrian, who put on a very good drive, P3 at the end and winning it in the Spec 2 category. Kevin Adrian now joining us in the booth. Kevin, welcome in. It's a podium for you here and a win in Spec 2. How was it here at Montreal?
That was a big surprise, that's for sure. I was just hanging out in the first part of the race, just saving fuel as much as I could, just hanging with the guys in the front, and then I came in for my pits, and I actually overshot my pit box a little bit, so that put me back a bit, and when I came out, I wasn't in the draft anymore. So I was just hoping they would fight, and fortunately, or unfortunately for Felix and Alexander, I think it was, they got together in the last chicane, and I got through, got a 4X somehow, but still got third place. So yeah, I'm happy. First place in my division, so nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, P3 overall, a win in class, a pretty darn good way for you to tackle this racetrack. I want to ask you your thoughts on Montreal, because this seemed to be maybe one of the most challenging Spec Racer Ford races that I have personally seen in quite some time.
Yeah, if you want to be fast, you have to flirt with the slowdowns. So that was my main thing. I just said, okay, don't get a slowdown, don't get a slowdown. As I was hanging back in the first part, I missed a few braking points in the chicanes. And I was like, okay, just slow down enough so you don't get a slowdown, and yeah, I could catch up again. So it's a fun track. You gotta stay with somebody to be able to get some good lap times. But other than that, it's enjoyable. Always gives good races.
Yeah, we got treated to an absolutely amazing race here, but next time out in 1 week's time, we're venturing off into the unknown. Aragon, that track primarily used for motorcycles, is going to be the next round of the championship here in the Spec Racer Fords. Have you gotten the opportunity to drive at that track before, and if so, what are your thoughts heading there?
No, I haven't even bought it, so that's my next on the list. So fun. It's always fun trying to get a new track and seeing what you can do on it. So it should be fun.
And, you know, I'll be honest, I feel like you may not be alone in that regard, Kevin. But as per usual, let you give any thanks or shout-outs before we let you go and celebrate.
Results this season. So, yeah, all to them. And thanks to you guys for always putting on a good show. Good to see you back.
And it's an absolute treat to be back here in the booth. I know I can't speak for Charles and Guido, but I most certainly missed this and really looking forward to the rest of the season. But Kevin, thank you for joining us in the booth. Well done on the P3, and we'll see you next time out at Aragon.
Yeah, it was a good one. Thanks, guys.
And that right there was Kevin Adrian, our P3 finisher here at the end of this race. But Charles, Aragon in 1 week's time, that is going to be probably even bigger of a question mark than the past 2 weeks that we've had in this series put together.
Yeah, I was sitting here trying to think about Aragon. I feel like that with my team, I think we've done some training there for an event. So I think we're in for a bit of a show, because I do remember us doing some training there in the Porsche Cup car. So I think that the Spec Racers are going to put on us a good show, because there's a couple of tricky parts there that are going to really test the driver as far as their throttle control and their braking, and some of the cornering there is going to be very, very interesting. So looking forward to it. And how great was it we had a Canadian on the podium for a race at Montreal?
Oh, don't rub it into Mr. Wilkie's face. He's not going to be happy about that comment one bit. But yeah, Aragon next time, Matt, that's going to be a wild one. I think the only other races that I've covered at Aragon, it was 2 Porsche Cup races towards the end of last year. And those were my first broadcasts on that track since I think early to mid 2024, doing a touring car race there many moons ago. So doesn't get a lot of love on iRacing, primarily used for motorcycles, but the Spec Racer Fords will play host to the 6th round of their season, ringing out the first half of the season in style with that very unique racetrack, part of the absolutely amazing schedule of shows coming up here on Slow Motion Broadcasting XSLR in a couple hours time, along with the latest race from Liberty Bell. And along with that, we got American Muscle Series running at Brands Hatch this upcoming Tuesday, Sim Racers Group F4 action at Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya, SRG F3 at Suzuka, with the Formula V Weekend Warriors running at Phillip Island next weekend, along with the Spec Racer Fords at Aragon, and XSLR running the first race in the F3s at Road Atlanta. A lot of action to look forward to here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. Gives you a really good reason to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on any of the racing action. But as for this broadcast here today for round number 5 of the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, that will just about do it. So for myself, Ron Maunz, Charles Boshell joining me in the commentary booth, and Guido Marzucchi working on the cameras and the virtual production hauler, I say thank you all so very much for tuning into the action here on Slow Motion Broadcasting today, and we hope to see you all wherever it is in the not too distant future.